It is that different. It's like before, and this is how I think of it. Before I was in a room, a vast, huge room, which is totally pitch dark. And this room is surrounded by obstacles. So you're trying to find your way around this room. And as you're trying to find your way, you keep hitting these things and injuring yourself. And this is how you are stumbling around in the darkness, crawling around, stumbling around, injuring yourself, battering yourself. Islam is like you open the door and you step out into the daylight. That's how it is. That's how the difference between being a Muslim and not being a Muslim. It's that different. I think the first thing is that you have to be very sincere and you have to be very honest about yourself. That's very difficult to do that. And that's very important, to be sincere. If you're sincere and you're really sincere, I'm sure that Allah will guide you to the truth. But it's not like you have to find the door. Really, because it's there. You know, if anyone's watching this video, well, we're telling you about Islam. There's the light for you. Okay? If you deserve it, Allah will guide you to that light. That's the reality. If you are deserving of it, Allah will guide you to that light. Because we have to understand that Allah chooses who He wants for His guidance. And He chooses people who are deserving of it. This is the reality. Okay? So, really, one needs to seek that guidance, one needs to pray for that guidance, and you need to seek it with your mind, with your heart, with your soul. This is the way to go forward. But if we're talking about how does someone who's now found the truth, they've discovered Islam, maybe someone, and it happens, some people for years have been reading the Quran and reading books about Islam. And I think maybe after the second month they'd already knew that Islam was the truth, but somehow they kept telling themselves, I have to read more, I have to read more. A lot of people are afraid to make that, that step, that final step. So, I mean, there's nothing to do it except you have to do it. You have to take that step. Once you know that Islam is the truth, you need to embrace Islam. You need to enter into the fold of Islam. And for those who have done that, how do you proceed? Simple thing. Simple thing. Very simple. If you hold on to it, God willing, you will never go astray and you will be guided on the right path. And that is to guard the prayers. Those 5 prayers, those prayers 5 times a day. If you guard them, and it doesn't matter if you do anything, if you can't do anything except that, if you guard those prayers and you make sure you say those prayers, you will find that this will be one of the surest ways to change your life around. Without a doubt. As I was saying, Allah guides who He wants to guide. In this noble religion, we have been ordered to take into account the process of cause and effect. This is something that God has put in the creation. This is something that we are ordered to deal with. So, the cause and effect is that if you call people to Islam, the effect is that normally you will expect people to embrace Islam. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not receive revelation and then just sit in his home. He went and told people about it. Now, primarily and fundamentally, we need to do that as Muslims because that is our absolute obligation. No one should think that this is something recommended or I can do it if I want to, or no, everybody is obliged, an obligation upon them to call others to Islam. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, call people to my message or pass on my message even if it is one verse of the Quran. If you know one verse of the Quran and you understand it, it is your obligation to pass it on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took an oath, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Allah swore by time that all of mankind are in a state of loss, illa alladhina amanu, except those who believe, wa amilu salihat, and those who do righteous actions, wa tawassaw bis sabr, wa tawassaw bil haqq, wa tawassaw bis sabr. And they join together in the mutual teaching of truth. And they join together in the mutual teaching of patience. So, if you do not involve yourself in teaching the truth and being patient upon teaching that truth, because you will never succeed in calling people to Islam except with patience. If you don't do that, you are still amongst those who are lost. Even if you believe and even if you do righteous actions, if you don't participate in one way or another, in da'wah, in calling people to Islam, in calling to the truth, in enjoining the right and forbidding the evil, and patient upon it, then you're going to be of those people who are lost.
Can you share with us some methods, some ways in which individuals can participate in da'wah?
Well, there's lots of ways. I mean, from the first way that one can participate in giving da'wah is that you equip yourself with the knowledge and the information that you need in order to be able to convince others that Islam is the truth. And that their religion is false. It's not only by the way of convincing someone that Islam is true. There's always how can we say, a double method. We convince people that Islam is true, but we also need to show them that they are upon falsehood. In fact, it usually comes the other way around. You have to show them that what they're upon is falsehood, and then after that, you illustrate to them how Islam is true. This is essential. This is implicit even in the actual shahada. La ilaha illallah, the negation and the affirmation that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah. The negation, nothing, no God worthy of worship, illallah, except Allah. So there's the affirmation and, the negation and the affirmation. So you need to get the knowledge, you need to get the information, and you can do that, you can participate it either on an individual level or on a wider level, like those people who give lectures and talks and so on and so forth, like yourself and myself. This is one way you can do it. You should start generally anyway with your family. This is the first people you should start with. They have the most obligation upon you. And then after that your friends, and then the people nearest you, and so on and so on and so forth. So this is the method, inshaAllah. Calling them first and foremost to the oneness of Allah. Not to what are really side issues, like, I don't know, why do we chop the hand off a thief, or trying to explain to people this and that. These are really side issues. The most important thing is to explain them why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone should be worshipped. And if you feel that you can't do that, okay, you should still strive to, but there's other ways. You can distribute literature, you can, maybe Allah has gifted you with the ability to make money. Then you can give your money to people who are giving da'wah. You can help those organizations, you can help those institutions that are concerned with propagating Islam. Maybe Allah has not given you the gift of the gab, maybe you have good organizational talents. Then you could get involved in organizing or helping to organize some activities and so on and so forth. One doesn't have to think that the only way to give da'wah is by sitting there like, I do on the soapbox and speaker's corner, telling people about Islam or so on. There's lots of different ways that you can get involved.